All right. Back down here, every weekend, putting out this video with the Mercedes C300. Don't tell the wife I drove her Mustang convertible today, okay? Let's be honest. You got to keep driving them to keep them in good shape. Don't tell her. I think she should drive it more. All right, let's get going. Everybody really should get to appreciate the view from the top of their house. I mean, there's the Mercedes right there. It's good to have a good overview, you know what I'm saying? Whew, all right, another on the bench because I just can't stop ordering. No, actually, I can't stop ordering because I want to get this done this year, you know what I'm saying? Before it gets cold, man. Rear-wheel drive in the cold just don't work. But anywho, what do we got? Pretty sure this is a silicone hose. This right here is the fittings for the LS steam system. I don't know if all of y'all are familiar, but the LS actually has a steam system that needs to vent out of the heads into the cooling system and eventually evaporates out of the expansion tank. Yeah. But anyway, got my E6000. YouTube absolutely loves this stuff. First video I made with this hit 30,000 views. Sorry, it wasn't a video, it was a short. But anywho, I gotta use this. I've got some tubing I gotta put around the harness hole. Wow, I don't know, is that a thing, a harness hole? But anywho, like I always say, if we could look down in here, let's see if we can get down in here. Yeah, see how that looks like there's a small animal that chews metal? Yeah, that's what that hole looks like. So I'm going to do an old school trick that I saw one time on one of those car shows. They took a piece of gas line tubing, cut it in half, and then glued it around the hole so it doesn't cut the wiring off. I think I'm going to do that there. And I think I'm going to do that here, where it comes through that hole that I made in that little blank out right there. Also, okay, let's zoom out. I'm going to go over every inch of this harness and make sure she's not cut up in some weird place that I can't see from coming through that little metal squirrel hole, shall we call it. All right, let's get rolling. All right, like I said, since you have to pull all these separately through a little tiny 2-inch hole, we're going down through. We're going to see if we got any wires. No surprises. We don't want no surprises. Once we verify that the harness is in good shape after being pulled through a tiny hole, then we can start tucking all the wiring in and getting everything in a situation where it's going to be for the rest of its life, pretty much, right? And check everything with the wire hanging out of it. Make sure nothing's pulled out. I don't know about you guys, but any kind of project, I don't like surprises. Not these kind of surprises, anyway. I mean, the only thing we like is surprises like, hey, it made extra horsepower, yay! You know, not like, oh crap, I ripped something off when I was pulling it through the firewall, yay! That's not a yay. Right? Let's look for the one I was really concerned about, which would be the alternator wire. This swap harness. There's only one wire coming out of that sucker. We definitely don't want any surprises like that ripped off. All right, we're looking good. We are looking good. These, I was afraid these wouldn't come through the firewall, but they made it. And the big surprise here, big surprise, running the 4L80. Yeah. Gotta have the drag race transmission, right? Good Lord, 3 days. 3 days of clearancing the floorboards of this car just because I had to have the school bus transmission. You know? But yeah, that's looking good. Then we're going to situate it and route it again for the second time. You can see all my conversion harnesses for the fuel injectors right here. Kind of do a quick look-see because they were not happy when I pulled that harness out from underneath the fuel rail here. Moving on. Time to tuck it in, tuck it in. All right, so quick rundown. This is how your swap harness looks if you put it through the firewall, right? You've got this side that comes off to your driver's side. This has all of your throttle body connections. This has your, where is it? I think I already showed you guys, but right there, that alternator lead, the one that's just the swing, yeah. Come up. You've got this wiring loom comes off, like I said. Right here, we've got our actual harness ground. You can see that black terminal. Now we're gonna push this back because we got plenty of wire right here. But we're gonna push this back, put it on the ground lug, right? And then with the ground lug, we'll probably go to like this bolt right here. So we've got chassis ground. And then what you wanna do is follow this wire back. Here's the NOx sensor, which will plug in right here. But like I was saying, it just bridges over, comes down. Here's your passenger side. Here's your main harness, main harness power, these two. So that'll go on the back of the starter hot, which is also, remember how I said I don't throw anything away when it comes to electronics? Yeah, look at the hot side, right off the battery from Mercedes. So we're gonna integrate that somehow. I'm gonna get this all tucked in, then we're gonna take a look at it when I'm done. All right, so the swap harness on one side is literally this easy. I still have my fuel rail bolted in. I lifted up the manifold just a little bit, slipped the swap harness in there. At the same time, I had these conversion harnesses sticking straight out. All I did is curled them over, hooked them in, and tucked them along the rail. Now we've got everything in the perfect position. We are snapping on harnesses. And I want to make sure that I am hooking in the correct things, right? 4 pins there. Bam. And so on. I can give a rundown of, you know, what needs to be plugged in where. I'm going to plug that into the alternator, and then I've got a bracket fabbed up from beforehand, right? And then I'll figure out where all these other ones go and share that with you. Whew! I don't know if there's a correlation between humidity index and how much crap you get done, but holy moly, the humidity just shot up another 200%. Sweating all over everything. But progress has been made. Alternator's tightened up with that homemade bracket I made right there. I made a bracket for the reservoir for the power steering. Not going anywhere, not even flexing. Coming down here, we're going to take another look at the other end of that homemade bracket for the alternator. You can see it right there. I made this with a cutoff wheel. It just zipped, right? Because you got to make clearance for that timing cover. This is adjusted all the way in. I don't really want to mess with it because it's rock solid no matter what. You can see right there. Bottom bolt holding the bottom of the alternator to the block on that block hole that, you know, is on every, I don't know. I know at least every LQ4. That's tight, cinched down. Nice deflection there. Almost as tight as your auto tensioner, but like I said, no surprises. We started up. We got power steering right off the get, right? All I have to do is figure out how to bring this around, get my cooler up, mounted up on the radiator, but that'll probably be for another day. Seeing as how I've got to put The other side of the swap harness down this rail, tuck in the conversion harnesses for the fuel injectors, and see where I'm going to route all this, which probably will put me under the car. Oh, and let's see. Let's just do a side note real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Perfect. Like this is a driver's side O2, right? Primary O2 sensors, how the computer checks itself, makes sure the car is running right. But yeah, you can tell the difference of this, you know, O2 sensor plug, 4 pins, opposed, square. They don't look like this. The original LQ4 O2 sensor plugged right in. So we get this all set up, figure out our grounds, and then the wiring here is done. I will pass this down. Since, like I've been saying all along, since this is a two-wheel drive 4L80E, right? You got your big harness, then you got your two harness, your two sensors that the computer compares, you know, input and output speed and makes sure that it's giving you the right shift points, right? All this has to get tucked down behind the transmission and then plugged into the side. Well, like I was saying, the dummy that, initially tried to fit the school bus transmission in the tiny car smashed the crap out of the connector all the way down the side of the tunnel. That was me. Now I got to go in and drop the transmission pin, put in a new harness, all that good stuff, you know, because I thought this would be done in a day. Yeah, I think we're at 6 months now. But, this is, every weekend day that I'm available, I'm down here cranking on this thing. We're getting super close. All I need now is a drive shaft. I'll figure out my cooling. I am going to order an ICT billet adapter plate instead of my Ghetto Fabulous plate that I made from a different adapter that I turned into Swiss cheese, which means I can't use it, right? Let's be honest. Let's be honest when we screw up. Screwed up that plate, so that's going to get tossed, or we'll hold it for some material. And we're going to continue. I'm going to tuck this in. I'm going to make sure all my O2 stuff is out of the way of heat source. I'm going to progress from there. Well, here we are again. Me and one of my favorite tools, the Sawzall. We've got that water neck right there. We're going to cut it off because I don't feel like spending another $200 for another water pump. I can't lie. I won't lie to you. I'm going to cut that off, see if I can come straight out or some other direction instead of right up against the, look at that throttle blade right there where your cable connects to. Yep. Ghetto Fabulous, baby. Let's do it. All right, I ain't going to lie. Now that I hit this with the Sawzall, I got like a little lip right here and whatnot. I'm going to put everything back together because we tried like hell to heat that up and turn this. Nope. 20 years of corrosion has made that its home. It ain't happening. So, we get this all put back on and see which way we can go with the hose. Whew! Safety alert, boys and girls. You buy one of these $150 eBay radiators, this flange right here, this whole cowling, I don't know what they were doing at the factory, but they left this razor sharp. So beware when you open this thing up and when you put it in your vehicle. You grab this, you'll be in for a surprise you don't like. I'm going to hit this with something that's going to make it dull instead of razor sharp. Alright, so I'm wrapping it up. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole here with the radiator hoses. I've got the bottom one coming. I figured out what I'm going to do with these right here. Figure out what I'm going to do with these because my water pump is wrong. Got our harness all tucked in. Got, I like to say, like a custom bushing right there, so I don't have to worry about it cutting into the actual harness there. Got that all tucked down in the back. Can't work underneath the car yet. No one's around, so I don't want to do that. I want to be safe. I Yeah, I took this off, tried all kinds of different ways to get this to work, but it's going to have to come out and round for right now. I know there is one that comes out this way, but I just don't want to risk that right now, especially when I'm going for first startup, if I get my drive shaft back sometime this year. But yeah, this is where we're at. Maybe a few vacuum hoses to hook up. I've got to order this, like I said, and then we figure out where everything else goes. This is just mock-up, obviously. I'll probably do like a metal L bracket that comes out and bolts in right here on both sides. So I actually have like a positive mounting situation. Still have to hook up the fans right here. I've got that whole harness in the car now, actually. And actually, things are coming along. I mean, final wiring, putting little components here and there and hooking them up. As soon as I get my drive shaft and I do that transmission maintenance, that'll be all wrapped up. You know, I want to do the transmission maintenance anyway, because, you know, that's what you should do when you have an unknown. Air intake should be here by next weekend. And like I said, the sooner I get my drive shaft, the sooner we can fire this thing up. And don't have to worry about sending a whole bunch of transmission all over Dad's floor. Again. Once again, thanks for watching. Y'all have a great week. I might even take another day off and throw in some bonus footage. Take care, everyone. See ya.